भ्रातृव्यमेनं ततत्र प्रवीर्यम् उपेक्षया ध्येयितम् उपेक्षया ध्येयितम् अप्रमत्तः उपेक्षया ध्येयितम् अप्रमत्तः गुरोर्हरिश्चरणोपशनास्त्रो जहि वेदिकं स्वयमात्ममोषम् भ्रातृव्यमेनं ततब्रवीर्यम् उपेक्षया ध्येयितम् अप्रमत्तः गुरोर्हरिश्चरणोपाशनास्त्रो जहि वेदिकं स्वयमात्ममोषम् भ्रातृव्यमेनं ततब्रवीर्यम् उपेक्षया ध्येयितमप्रमत्तः गुरोर्हरिश्चरणोपासनास्त्रो जहि वेदिकं स्वयमात्ममोषम्
भ्रातृव्यमेनं तदब्रवीर्यम् उपेक्षया धितं अप्रमत्तः
गुरोर्हरिश्चरणोपानास्त्रो जहि वेदिकं स्वयमात्ममोषम्. One more devotee can chant.
भ्रातृव्यमेनं तदब्रवीर्यम्
उपेक्षया ध्येयितमप्रमत्तः गुरोर्हरिश्चरणोपासनास्त्रो जहि वेदिकं स्वयमात्ममोषम्. Synonyms. Bhratrivyam, the formidable enemy. Enam, this mind. Tat, that. Adrabraviryam, very, very powerful. Upekshaya, by neglecting. Adhyedhitam, unnecessarily increased in power. Apramattaha, one who is without illusion. Guru, of the spiritual master. Hare, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Charana, of the lotus feet. Upasanastraha, applying the weapon of worshipping. Jahi, conquer. Velikam, false. Swayam, personally. Atmamosham, which covers the constitutional position of the living entity. Translation and purport by Vishwaguru Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. This uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and will become victorious. Although it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers the constitutional position of the soul. O king, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of the spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do this with great care. There is one easy weapon with which the mind can be conquered: neglect. The mind is always telling us to do this or that. Therefore, we should be very expert in disobeying the mind's orders. Gradually, the mind should be trained to obey the orders of the soul. It is not that one should obey the orders of the mind. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that to control the mind, one should beat it with shoes many times just after awakening and again before going to sleep. In this way, one can control the mind. This is the instruction of all the Shastras. If one does not do so, one is doomed to follow the dictations of the mind. Another bona fide process is to abide strictly by the orders of the spiritual master and engage in the Lord's service. Then the mind will be automatically controlled. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has instructed Srila Rupa Goswami, Brahmanda Brahmate Kona Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai Bhakti Lata Bij. When one receives the seed of devotional service by the mercy of the Guru and Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one's real life begins. If one abides by the orders of the spiritual master, by the grace of Krishna, he is freed from service to the mind. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purpose of the 5th Canto, 11th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Jaḍa Bharata instructs King Rahūgaṇa. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So this is a nice context in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam actually has 10 topics and very essential topics. All are essential topics, no doubt. But they all lead to Mukti Ashrayaha. One should become liberated and take shelter, complete shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So here, the context which we are discussing is, there was a king called Rahūgaṇa who was very proud of his kingship, his position, and he was a very powerful king. So in those days, whenever a king or a queen wanted to travel, they used to have, instead of 4-wheelers, they used to have human legs. 8 legs would walk. So a palanquin, a very grand palanquin, most of the time it was made of gold and quite heavy. So since it was made of gold and it was quite heavy, on top of that maybe some 80-90 kgs working, because he also has jewelry. He'll be having we went to Jaipur recently, and they would have dresses for different seasons. So we are talking about recent history and what to talk about earlier days. They were more opulent. So it is said that jewelry would be about 25 kgs or something like that. Gold. And then the dress would be some kgs. Long and beautiful silk. Along with that, you have the palanquin. So to hold the palanquin, you require very stout and strong men. None of you would qualify. Or I should say, none of us would qualify. So it so happened that the day King Rahūgaṇa wanted to travel, one of the palanquin carriers was not available. And it so happened that Jaḍa Bharata was passing by that place. So Jaḍa Bharata is a very stout and strong young man, a Brahmana, son of a Brahmana. And he happened to be going through that place. They just quickly called him, please come and help us. Please take the palanquin. The king is coming. So he was helpless, so he just started, and he was one of them. So they started walking, and Jaḍa Bharata is actually a self-realized soul. Vidya vinasampane brahmani gavihastini suni cheva swapakecha pandita samadarshana. He had samadarshana. He would see not the body, but the soul and the super soul. One who sees the soul and the super soul is already conquered the mind. Jitatma prashantasya samayudihi sitoshna sukha dukkha manapamanayo. For him, Sita, Ushna, Sukha, Dukkha, Mana, Apamana, they don't make any difference. So it so happened that when the palanquin was moving, there were certain imbalances during the journey. So the king, being very proud of his position, he shouted, "Can't you carry the palanquin properly?" Until that day, no palanquin was carried improperly. So one of them was saying, yes, sir, sorry, one of the new guys is new. I'll speak to him. It's just like, some senior comes here and then we become, जो regular करते हैं वो भी भूल जाते हैं. So like that, the king having a big influence, these people are very scared. He can easily मृत्युदंड दे सकता है. Kill them. So then they requested, थोड़ा ठीक से चलो ना भैया. बोलता ठीक है. After some time, there was some again stream of ants moving. So he is again jumping left and right, trying to avoid killing the ants. So again, Rahūgaṇa was so upset. 2-3 incidences happened. The king said, "Stop the palanquin." They put the palanquin. He comes out. Outrageous. All the other 3 are like, Saab, please forgive us. Who is responsible for this? All the 3 pointed to this fellow. You. He is responsible. Jaḍa Bharata is least bothered. He is standing very, very calmly there. Rahūgaṇa comes and confronts him and starts abusing and blasting him left and right. Oh. Rahūgaṇa is taken aback. He said, he has abused him so badly. This fellow is not reacting. Actually, self-realized souls, no, they will not react. Like there's an incidence of Lord Buddha when he was traveling. One fellow spat on his cheek. He just did this and one started. Again he went little further. Again he spat on the other cheek. Like that 3 times he spat on him. Fourth time he was on his feet. But you're not becoming angry at all. Man apamanayo. Not bothered. So then Rahūgaṇa sensed this fellow is not an ordinary person. He said, "Who are you, sir?" And then Jaḍa Bharata started giving him instructions. That's why this chapter is called as Jaḍa Bharata instructs King Rahūgaṇa. I would like to read all the other translations and then we'll come to this. The Brahmana Jaḍa Bharata said, "My dear king, although you are not at all experienced, you are trying to speak like a very experienced man." See, what is that Krishna says to Arjuna? Asocyanan vasochastam pragnavadam subhasas. Same thing Jaḍa Bharata is telling. You are not at all experienced, but you are talking as if you are experienced. Consequently, you cannot be considered an experienced person. An experienced person does not speak the way you are speaking about the relationship between a master and a servant or about material pains and pleasures. These are simply external activities. Any advanced experienced man, considering the absolute truth, does not talk in this way. He is completely taken aback. This fellow is speaking such high philosophy. And he is very simple. One loincloth, that's all he has on his body. My dear king, talks of the relationship between the master and the servant, the king and the subject, and so forth are simply talks about material activities. People interested in material activities which are expounded in the Vedas are intent on performing material sacrifices and placing faith in their material activities. For such people, spiritual advancement is definitely not manifest. So if you are always on Gramya Katha, on, no, that's why it is Vifalam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, waste of time. Don't waste your time on Gramya Katha, useless Katha, gossiping. पता उसने क्या किया? प्रभु ने देखो उसको डांट दिया. क्यों डांटा? वो नहीं पूछने. प्रभु ने डांट दिया, बस इतना ही. So we try to discuss on topics which are only pleasing to our senses. उसको डांट मिली, ये अच्छा लगा, मेरे को नहीं मिली. So this is a very cheap consciousness. A dream becomes automatically known to a person as false and immaterial, and similarly one eventually realizes that the material happiness in this life or the next, on this planet or a higher planet, is insignificant. When you get up from the dream, naturally everything becomes reality, right? I mean, in the dream it was all illusion. I was a king and this and that. Sometimes we dream, no, ये मेरा senior है, मैं इसका senior बनना है. So we dream, in the dream we become senior. And we can, Prabhu, ye karo. We can't take it, no? Somebody else is a senior. Like that we try to dream. Or in the dream we think about a beautiful woman, the so-called dream girl of our life. We're just concocting. So mind is concocting. When one realizes this, the Vedas, although an excellent source, are insufficient to bring about direct knowledge of the truth. As long as the mind of the living entity is contaminated by the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, his mind is exactly like an independent, uncontrolled elephant. It simply expands its jurisdiction of pious and impious activities by using the senses. The result is that the living entity remains in the material world to enjoy and suffer pleasures and pains due to material activities. The very influence of the modes is the real cause of our being attached to this material world. So, as long as the mind is influenced, we'll keep on doing pious, impious. Good, किसी का मदद करना. Even serials, so-called, Puranic serials, they try to put, अच्छा करो दूसरों का, बुरा मत करो. अच्छा करोगे तो बहुत अच्छा फल मिलेगा, शनिदेव कृपा दिखाएंगे. To this extent, no proper presentation of Krishna consciousness. Because the mind is absorbed in desires for pious and impious activities, it is naturally subjected to the transformations of lust and anger. Naturally. See, very nicely. In this way, it becomes attracted to material sense enjoyment. In other words, the mind is conducted by the modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. There are 11 senses and 5 material elements, and out of these 16 items, the mind is the chief. So, the mind is the chief. There's so much instructions given in the Bhagavatam on the mind. One should constantly contemplate on these. Then only your Krishna consciousness can be perfected. Otherwise, कभी खुशी कभी ऐसे ही चलता रहे. Sometimes we're enthusiastic about devotional service, sometimes we feel बाहर भी कर सकते हैं ना, क्या है इसे. परफेक्शन थोड़ी एक ही बिल्डिंग में होता है. नहीं, बिल्डिंग में नहीं होता, संघ में होता है. किधर होता है? संघ में. Therefore, the mind brings about birth in different types of bodies among demigods, human beings, animals, and birds. When the mind is situated in a higher or lower position, it accepts a higher or lower material body. So, very, very careful we should be when we are associating. We associate with low class people, low consciousness, animal consciousness. ये क्या है, सुट्टा मारना क्या है, फर्क क्या पड़ता है. All this kind of consciousness is animal consciousness. One who is not thinking about self-realization is actually an animal, walking animal. The materialistic mind covering the living entity's soul carries it to different species of life. All this is given in the Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter. Right? This is called continued material existence. Due to the mind, the living entity suffers or enjoys material distress and happiness. Being thus illusioned, the mind further creates pious and impious activities on their karma, and thus the soul becomes conditioned. Again and again, it's getting conditioned to pious, impious, societal activities. ये करेंगे तो देखो सोसाइटी वाला, या तो पेरेंट्स will बोले देखो तुम अच्छा काम करना, मेरा नाम बढ़ाना. The mind makes the living entity within this material world wander through different species of life, and thus the living entity experiences mundane affairs in different forms as a human being, demigod, fat person, skinny person, and so forth. Learned scholars say that bodily appearance, bondage, and liberation are caused by the mind. तुम्हारा फैट कितना बढ़ना है वो ऑलरेडी माइंड में फिक्स्ड है प्रीवियस कर्मा से. So that's why you'll have a belly, you'll have this, you'll have. If you become too conscious, I will become very skinny, I want to become very fat. All these things are bodily concepts. We have to just maintain the body and the soul together. Not too much focus on it. Body is required, health is required for a proper execution of devotional service. When the living entity's mind becomes absorbed in the sense gratification of the material world, it brings about his conditioned life and suffering within the material situation. Now here we are getting to more detail. Situation. However, when the mind becomes unattached to material enjoyment, it becomes the cause of liberation. So focus is not material enjoyment, focus should be spiritual service, engagement. When your spiritual engagement is there, you are actually liberated. Why? You are not conditioned by the mind. When the flame in a lamp burns the wick improperly, the lamp is blackened. But when the lamp is filled with ghee and is burning properly, there is bright illumination. Similarly, when the mind is absorbed in material sense gratification, it causes suffering, and when detached from material sense gratification, it brings about the original brightness of Krishna consciousness. घी अंदर है कि नहीं देखो, नहीं तो पूरा डालडा लगाकर विक जल ही नहीं रहा. There are 5 working senses and 5 knowledge acquiring senses. There is also the false ego. In this way, there are 11 items for the mind's function. O hero, the objects of the senses such as sound and touch, the organic activities such as evacuation, and the different types of bodies, society, friendship, and personality are considered by learned scholars the field of activity for the functions of the mind. That's why the mind actually thinking, feeling, willing gets attached to so many things. Sound, touch, form, taste, and smell are the objects of the five knowledge acquiring senses. Speech, touch, movement, evacuation, and sexual intercourse are the objects of the working senses. Besides this, there is another conception by which one thinks, this is my body, this is my society, this is my family, this is my nation, this is a beautiful girl, this is a ugly girl, this is a stout man, all this conception. And so forth. This 11th function of the mind is called the false ego. According to some philosophers, this is the 12th function and its field of activity is the body. The physical elements, nature and original cause, culture, destiny, and the time element are all material causes. Agitated by these material causes, the 11 functions transform into hundreds of functions and then into thousands and then into millions. But all these transformations do not take place automatically by mutual combination. Rather, they are under the direction of the Supreme Personality of God. Even materially, things are expanding because of the Lord. So, a devotee should also see how the Lord is the cause of all causes. The individual soul bereft of Krishna consciousness has many ideas and activities created in the mind by the external energy. They have been existing from time immemorial. Sometimes they are manifest in the awakening state and in the dream state. But during deep sleep, unconsciousness, or trance, they disappear. A person who is liberated in this life, Jivan Mukta, can see all these things vividly. This is one more test. If you are actually liberated or getting liberated, you'll be able to see these things. At least मेरे को तो अभी तक दिखा नहीं है. There are two kinds of Kshetrajna, the living entity as explained above and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is explained as follows. He is the all-pervading cause of creation. He is full in himself and is not dependent on others. He is perceived by hearing and direct perception. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. He is self-effulgent and does not experience birth, death, old age, or disease. He is the control of all the demigods, beginning with Lord Brahma. He is called Narayana and he is the shelter of living entities after the annihilation of this material world. He is full of all opulences and he is the resting place of everything material. He is therefore known as Vasudev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By his own potency, he is present within the hearts of all living entities, just as the air or vital force is within the bodies of all beings, moving on and non-moving. In this way, he controls the body. In his partial feature, the Supreme Personality of Godhead enters all bodies and controls them. Who is speaking this? To? King is like, oh my God, इतना high philosophy बोल रहे. My dear King Rahūgaṇa, as long as the conditioned soul accepts the material body and is not freed from contamination of material enjoyment, and as long as he does not conquer his six enemies and come to the platform of self-realization by awakening his spiritual knowledge, he has to wander among different places and different species of life in this material world. All his false ego is now coming down. The soul's designation, the mind, is the cause of all tribulation in the material world. Nobody else, it's your mind. नहीं प्रभु ये डिवोटी की वजह से मेरे को प्रॉब्लम हो रही है, ये चला जाए फोक से तो मैं बहुत खुश हो जाऊंगा. It's not him. It's your lack of Krishna consciousness. You are not able to be Krishna conscious. As long as this fact is unknown to the conditioned living entity, he has to accept the miserable condition of the material body and wander within this universe in different positions. Because the mind is affected by disease, lamentation, illusion, attachment, greed, and enmity, it creates bondage and a false sense of intimacy within this material world. Now, this verse, all what is spoken, the proper way to control the mind, Prabhupada is giving. This uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and will become victorious. That means all the habits and this and that, everything is combined. Although it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers the constitutional position of the soul. O King, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service to the lotus feet of spiritual master and of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do this with great care. See, the first thing Prabhupada says in the purport, there is one easy weapon with which the mind can be conquered. क्या है वो? Neglect. So many ideas will keep coming. नहीं कर. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. Unnecessary neglect. You get up, you know, what, what time is the Mangalarti? 5, no? Generally 4:15 you'll put, no, 4:15, 5 minutes. Mind will say 5. Then more 5 minutes. Neglect. You rascal, get up. Neglect. 5 minutes more. 5 minutes more. 5 बज गया. वो 5 मिनट में 5 बज गया. बैंड बज गया. And by the time you reach here, Aarti is over. Then will come back entry. फ्रंट से आएगा प्रभु जी देखे, बैक से आएगा. कोई देखेगा नहीं. Silently come. Oh, that is good. He doesn't want to disturb. But see how the mind has played with us. One day gone, not able to see the Aarti of the Lord, the ceremonious worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. How value creation. Create value in your life. Otherwise, mind will create somewhere else. The mind is always telling us to do this or that. Always. And most of the time it's encouraging for sense gratification. अभी अच्छा साधना किया ना, एक मूवी देख लो, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? ज्यादा कुछ नहीं, एक मूवी देखने में. आई विल नॉट सी सम बैड मूवी. आई सी समथिंग व्हिच इज वेरी फेमस. Some good actor will be there. Some Jackie Chan's and some Bruce Lee's. थोड़ा एक्साइटमेंट चाहिए ना प्रभु जी जिंदगी में. एक मूवी देखने में क्या फर्क पड़ेगा? माइंड इज इंस्टिगेटेड. साधना अच्छा किया आज बहुत पावरफुल. क्या है, आग लगाए फिर क्या कर, थोड़ा पानी डाल दो ना, क्या फर्क पड़ता है? स्मोक आएगा. स्मोक मतलब नॉट एबल टू सी योरसेल्फ. दैट्स ऑल. So Prabhupada is saying it will keep giving. Therefore, we should be very expert in disobeying the mind's orders. Get lost. I will follow Prabhupada and follow Vaishnavas. Mind is too much agitating. Go and sit next to Vaishnava. You open movie, he'll say, "Hey, बंद करो. क्या है, पागल है? प्रभु मना किया है ना देखने के लिए. तू भी आजा देख ले. If he is not strong, ठीक है, थोड़ा दिखा ले." उसका माइंड भी वीक बने. So you should go to a strong devotee, not a weak devotee. We should choose our association carefully. Go to a more experienced devotee, he will tell you, "No, don't do this thing." क्या मिलेगा? ये सब देखकर भी समय बर्बादी है. क्यों? Whatever you are watching is nothing but the influence of the modes of material nature. Somebody's mind, some 10 minds have done some activity, and then you are seeing this fooling you. Maya is fooling you. Maya tries to get into wherever you are trying to be an expert. साधना में एक्सपर्ट बना, ठीक है, सर्विस में पकड़ेगा. क्यों? सर्विस में लेजी हम, भागता है. सर्विस मिलते liberated soul. I will not do service. I will do whatever my mind says. I want to be liberated from service. So because we wanted to be liberated from service, we come to the material world to serve false things, because we cannot stop serving. We have to serve. So enthusiastically serve. Carefully serve. Be conscious, something you're purchasing. Can it be purchased at a lower rate? Same good quality, get at a lower rate. Save Krishna's money for expansion. नहीं, प्रभु जी का पैसा है, मूवमेंट का पैसा, अपने को क्या लेना? करो भाई, बिल बनाओ. तुम अभी ऐसे कर रहा है, आगे जाकर कृष्णा बोले, अच्छा मेरा पैसा लिया तुमने, अब दिखाता है. You should be conscious, careful. Savadhana mate. One should serve the spiritual master with great care and attention. Great care and attention doesn't come suddenly. It has to be practiced. Not artificially, but in association with devotees. Kali Yuga mein saving grace is actually association of devotees, holy name, prasadam. You will realize it when you leave. Some of us may have to go for work and all these things. Yesterday, one of the फोक बॉयज हो चले, हाँ प्रभु मैं तो इधर जाऊंगा उधर जाऊंगा, जाओ, जब जाओगे तब पता चलेगा एसोसिएशन क्या होता है, स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ क्या होता है. मटेरियल लाइफ इज वेरी वेरी टॉर्चरस, वेरी पदम पदम यद विपदम. एक्सपीरियंस तो करना ही पड़ेगा. Because you have experienced something higher, when you go down and see, you see, अरे प्रभु बुला दो आपके शरण में. That feeling will be very genuine. That feeling we should have throughout our life. That is Krishna consciousness. Otherwise बहुत बड़े बड़े अरे छुटकू लोग क्या, बड़े बड़े राजा, भूमि देवी सिंह इन द भागवतम, अरे बड़े बड़े राजा हैं, ये सोच के कि वो उनका वो they will keep their sovereignty over this material world. आया गया आया गया. What is the value? आज कौन से, अच्छा 500 years बैक कोई राजा आया, क्या नाम याद है? कितने लोग नाम याद रखते हैं? Some historians जैसे उसको पैसा पेट भरना है इसलिए वो बोलता है हाँ हमको इतना आता है. Who cares? Nobody cares. So don't try to keep your name in this material world. Some people are there, they want to have name in name, no? स्कूल के ऊपर नाम, स्कूल खोला है, हॉस्पिटल खोला है, ये खोला है. After some years that name मिट्टी में मिल जाएगा. क्यों? कोई वॉर हो गया, डमाडम मिसाइल गिरेगा, फट ओवर, नेम भी खत्म. गाजा का हालत देखो. So many people are al shifa, this shifa, that shifa, गया. So what we should try to become a pure devotee of the Lord, and with our energies try to do an impactful spiritual activity which pleases Guru and Krishna. That will help you overcome this influence of the mind. First thing Prabhupada says, first thing, before going to bed, Bhakti Siddhanta Thakur, beat your mind, useless fellow, सुबह उठना है, समझे? नहीं मैं नहीं उठना है, मैं डिसाइड कर लिया, मंगल आरती नहीं जाना है. क्यों? ऑलरेडी 20 दिन मंगल आरती कर लिया, 10 दिन नहीं करेगा तो भी मेरा एवरेज तो उतना ही आएगा ना. प्रभु जी तो बोलने वाले नहीं है कुछ भी, 16 माला करता है, हरे कृष्णा करता है, सेवा वेवा कर देता है. थोड़ी भगाएंगे प्रभु को भी जरूरत है इधर. यू आर टेकिंग इट फॉर ग्रांटेड, यू आर टेकिंग डिवोशनल सर्विस फॉर ग्रांटेड. प्रभु कुछ नहीं बोलेगा, बड़ा प्रभु बोलेगा. ये प्रभु जी बैठा है ना इधर, ये महाप्रभु है. ही डजंट बॉदर. वी आर चुटकू प्रभु, हमको जरूरत है आप लोगों की, बिकॉज वी वांट टू एंगेज यू इन गुरु सर्विस so that you can overcome your mind, help you to come to spiritual consciousness. He is independent because we are trying to please him. Say, अच्छा इसके अंदर खोट है, we will not be able to see. He is saying, इसका खोट को मैं सीधा करेगा, बैंड बजाएगा. So that's all. So if we align to him, he will be very happily bless you. How do we do that? That's why Prabhupada says, serve the spiritual master with attention, carefully. Next, it is not that one should obey the orders of the mind. It's not necessary. You obey the orders of Guru, mind will align itself. This is the instruction of all Shastras. Mind को कंट्रोल करना ही है. There is no other option. समा दमा तितिक्षु, ब्राह्मणा बनना है. In action, not simply in कपड़ा. जैसे बहुत सारे सो कॉल्ड ब्राह्मण है, कपड़ा वाला, मुंह में ऐसे ओम ये ओम पैसा लो. So that's not a Brahmana. Means really by qualification. Samadama, Saucham, Tapasya. First Tapasya, Prabhupada says, don't hear mind. That's all. Mind goes going to come here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Ram. I was hearing in the morning only, Prabhupada says, practice chanting Hare Krishna. कुछ भी हो जाए हरे कृष्ण, अच्छा हुआ हरे कृष्ण, बुरा हुआ हरे कृष्ण. Keep on practicing chanting the holy name, so that at the time of death, Hare Krishna. Prabhupada did that. When he left his body, slightly chant Hare Krishna. Then he left his body. So Prabhupada's words are not ordinary. He is actually living these words. He has proved that you can all go back to Godhead in this one life by his life. Imagine how many problems Prabhupada from his own disciples. अपने ही पीठ के पीछे क्या मार रहा था? चूरा मार रहा था. गुरु बनना चाहता है. बौन महाराज को लाना चाहता है. All these kind of things are going on. Still Prabhupada had faith on his spiritual master. So our attachment to the spiritual master should be very, very intense. Then wherever dilemma is there, Prabhupada will bless us. Another bona fide process is to abide strictly by the orders of the spiritual. So, एक चीज है नहीं करना. यहाँ there are two options. There are two answers actually. Prabhupada. One thing is neglect. जो चीजें नहीं करनी उसको क्या करना है हमको? Neglect करना. And क्या करना है? Prabhupada says here. Another bona fide process is to abide strictly. क्या बोला है? Strictly by the orders of the spiritual master. Engage and simply order follow करना. हाँ क्या करना क्या है? Engage in the Lord's service. So one is neglect. नहीं करेगा. क्या करेगा? We are not मायावादी. नेति करने वाला नहीं. क्या करना है? Orders and engage. Order, get order, engage. Order, engage in Lord's service. What does Prabhupada say? Then the mind will be automatically controlled. Such nice words, Prabhupada. Automatically. What the machine is automatically moving. एक रोटी बने टक टक टक. कोई ज्यादा endeavor नहीं है. Like that, automatically mind is controlled. प्रभुपाद ने क्या बोला? मंगल आरती कभी कभी जाओ, ऐसा बोला है? कहाँ बोला है? कोई एक कोट दिखा दो बस. एवरीवेयर प्रभुपाद, एवरी डे. प्रभुपाद बोले 16 माला नहीं हुआ तो सो मत, जब कंप्लीट करो. खाओ मत, जब कंप्लीट करो. हम क्या करेगा? 16 माला कल कर लेगा, परसों कर लेगा. पहले खाना है, पेट पूजा पहला अच्छी तरह से खाना है. नहीं, then you're not a spiritualist. You're cheating yourself. That's why here, Vyalikam means false. You're being a false sadhaka. And next verse actually, if one abides by the orders of spiritual master, by grace of Krishna. So how Krishna is ready to help one who follows? Yasya prasadat. So you're getting help of Krishna, not ordinary person, Krishna. Then success is guaranteed. So इन चीजों के ऊपर थोड़ा कंटेम्पलेशन भी करना चाहिए हमको, एंड अब्सॉर्ब करना है अंदर. इसलिए प्रभुपाद से कृष्णा का वेरी सिंपल फॉर अ सिंपल डिवोटी. कॉम्प्लिकेटेड ब्रेन पढ़ो, जितना भागवतम पढ़ो, वो सब भागवतम इज मेंट फॉर कॉम्प्लिकेटेड माइंड्स, ऑफ कोर्स फॉर एवरीवन, बट कॉम्प्लिकेटेड माइंड्स वांट टू नो ये क्रिएशन कैसे होता है, ये ठीक है, जानो. सिंपल मैन, हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम, नो भोगा, नो दिस, जस्ट टक 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 टक. डे, मंथ्स, years निकलेंगे. Suddenly you close your eye, open, hey, Krishna is there. Hey. Back to the spiritual world. So these are not ordinary statements. ये कोई Prabhupada will not make ordinary statements. He is making absolute statements. But one more thing, as students, what is your prescribed duty? You should study nicely. अभी क्या है, हमारे students का scores इतना कम हो रहा है. So much pressure is there now, unnecessary. Why? We are not proving ourselves to be Krishna conscious. Marks कम हो रहे हैं, parents call कर रहे हैं. Then you will not be able to get this. Everything comes with a price. You want to be here, you should study nicely also. You can't be, इधर भी रहेगा, ज़्यादा स्कोर नहीं चलेगा. There was a time in my life, too much book discussion. Every time I was just running. Even when marathon is not, I would just go to the temple, Friday, Saturday, go books discussion, and weekly. Then I started losing little interest. Scores तो आते थे, but interest was there. Then I told one devotee. So he said very simple. You're do this as a service to your spiritual master. Would you go with a bad result to your father? Like that, would you go to Prabhupada with a bad result? Prove no, you're Krishna conscious. At least maintain some good scores so that people get inspired to come to the focus. और देर से तुम बोलते अरे अच्छा कंसंट्रेशन होता है ये होता है अच्छा आपका स्कोर क्या था कुछ नहीं 3.25 है 3.25 में कौन आएगा भैया यू अंडरस्टैंड व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से नॉट टू बी टू ओवरली लिविंग गार्ड्स एंड जस्ट आई डोंट केयर क्लासेस नहीं जाएगा आई एम अ रूफाइन आई डोंट बॉदर यू आर ट्राइंग टू आर्टिफिशियली बी अ जीवन मुक्त आर्टिफिशियली क्यों बनना एंड देन टू मच ओनली स्टडिंग स्टडिंग सेवा अरे प्रभु जी आए थे ना उस टाइम क्लास में था बोला था अच्छी तरह से पढ़ाई करना है देखो अब इसलिए मैं डिसाइड कर दिया है प्रभु जी क्या डिसाइड किया मेरे को कोई सेवा मत दी जाए जस्ट वांट टू स्टडी आई विल हैव प्रसादम या दैट सेवा आई विल डू अगेन एक्सट्रीम पेंडुलम के दोनों एक्सट्रीम में नहीं जाना बैलेंस्ड अभी बुक मैराथन में भागना है अच्छा स्कोर वेरी कॉम्पिटिटिव मूड में नाउ क्या आ रहा है व्हाट इज दैट संक्रांति इज कमिंग नहीं इसलिए एंड ऑफ द मैराथन अच्छी तरह से एंडिंग करो देन गेट इनटू बैक टू योर गियर्स स्टार्ट स्टडिंग नो एवरी डिवोटी शुड हैव अ प्लान नेक्स्ट 4 months में कैसे पढ़ाई करने वाला प्रेजेंट इट टू प्रभु दिस इज व्हाट माय प्लान इज डिस्कस विद बिकॉज नाउ वी आर गेटिंग लिटिल अलार्म्ड इतना अच्छा फैसिलिटी देने के बाद बुद्धू है दिमाग नहीं लगाता है ऐसा कैसे चलेगा यू ऑल अग्री एनीबॉडी डिसएग्रीज यू कैन मीट मी आफ्टर द क्लास ओके आई विल स्टॉप हियर एनीबॉडी हैज एनी क्वेश्चंस के भूख लग रही श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंद